Welcome back to the Hot Mess to Awesomeness podcast, a show all about inspiring smart, busy women to put their happiness at the top of their to-do list. Join your host and life coach, Dion Thompson, as she chats with amazing women who have figured out how to make their happiness a priority, and more importantly, what it's really like to go from hot mess to awesomeness. And now, on with the show.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Mess to Awesomeness podcast. I am your host and sweaty life coach, Dion Thompson. Oh, that was another booty shaking blast from the past dance party. Holy shitballs. Huge shout out to my guest, Debbie Mulder, who I'm going to talk about in a second, because first we're just going to talk about the music, because that's really an important piece of this podcast. All the listeners know. It kind of sets the tone for everything that we lay out. And so number one, I love me some Bruno Mars and finesse. And I was saying to him, like, I'm dancing, feeling sexy in my slippers, that
Yes.
I don't often feel that way in the past 10 months, although I've been wearing slippers every day.
Yes.
So great. And then huge, nice, like, let's just step right back to almost 21 years ago.
Yes.
Songs were released. And so we jammed out to a little Britney from 2000 and some NSYNC. And I am like, just in my glory.
I'm telling you, you fulfilled some childhood dreams. Thank you so much for that dance party. Nobody else will dance with me. So I'm saying.
And I mean, and we'll get to it. You have 4 children, so somebody should be dancing with you.
You would think so.
Right?
Yes, but their dad has them trained. No.
Not to that music.
You're not dancing to Britney.
It's so my husband recently, it's cold outside, so we've been staying a little bit more, and he's been on the music stations just pulling up videos from the 80s and the 90s, more in the 80s. And my girls have just been like, whoa. And my girls really like they fight over Fleetwood Mac, and they belt out The Chain and Rhiannon, and they just and I'm always like, that's
You're
so
proud.
great. I'm so proud.
Moment.
and then he put on some this 90s series, and this my 9-year-old, Kate Madonna, Like a Prayer's on. My 9-year-old's like,
wow.
I'm like, yeah, that's Madonna.
Madonna.
I'm like, you know what? You can love up on her because she's kind of like the Beyonce of before Beyonce.
Exactly. She did it before Beyonce. That's the thing you need to remember.
That's right.
Yes.
So music is a big part of my world, and it's a big part of the joy that lights up this podcast. I think I
gotta say, because for me, same thing, music and just everyday life. Like, I love it. It calms me down. It brings me back to my safe place. And I love all kinds of music. I don't discriminate against any of it. So
I invite it all in.
It
all has its place. My husband's a musician, and we feel the same way, except he has this issue with jazz. I don't know what it is. I mean, like, I'm fine with it. There's something about jazz solos and how they just go on forever into this other world, which, of course, if you're a jazz lover, you're like, yeah, that's the shit.
Yes.
And he's like, that's really fucking annoying. So
he must have been traumatized at some point in his life.
Something is burned into his brain about jazz. But so
never heard that one before.
I am so happy that you're here. And when we first chatted, we'd been chatting online for a bit. When we first actually saw each other face to face via Zoom, I was like, I love this woman. I want to like hang out in your living room. And you had just had a baby. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe I don't want to always hang out in her living room.
Me either.
Poor woman. Me either. And now it's been a while since we had that first big chat, and you had some obviously some family structure shifts, and you were planning some really great stuff with your sort of venturing through your business, which I'm really excited about. And one of the things that, I just loved everything about you, your energy, like through Zoom, is just, you're my person.
Thank you.
And the work that you're doing, and the why that's driving you, I really feel connected to. And so
Yes.
I'm really excited to explore a little bit about some of
Yeah.
the way that you're helping to end stigma around mental health issues, because
Yes.
the stigma is a fucking problem.
It
Um,
is. It is.
and as you know, and as something that I talk about a lot here on this podcast, it's really about giving more energy to the voices that can move us all forward.
That's right.
And because not everyone feels they have a voice, but if they feel connected to the community, that can bring, like, we can all rise through that, right? So,
That's right.
so
Yes.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. I think the huge part for me is just helping everybody recognize that you're not alone in all of this.
Right.
Yeah. So when I get into my story, I'll be able to
Absolutely. And
to
so
let
we
you
are
know.
recording this in December of 2020.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we are still sort of in the thick, well, we're actually in the thick of stage 2 of the thick.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of need to open up the conversation. So I do want to just let everybody know a little bit about you. I mean, I'm sure they'd be fine with the fact that I love you, and they'll be like, cool, we're in. But if they would like to know a little bit more actual information than my
Yes.
thoughts and feelings. So Debbie is a psychotherapist, speaker, and mental health advocate. And she's a mother of 3 boys and a little girl who appreciates time alone. Yes, so I think we hit on that. And with her family watching reality TV. Debbie helps people advocate for their mental health. And after struggling with her own, she now works to erase the stigma associated with mental health by giving people the tools they need to share their story and help them recognize that they are not alone. This is a extremely powerful message, and one I too want to be screaming from the rooftops or on any platform that they'll give me.
Yeah.
So welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you from afar, and I love you through Zoom. And I think what you do is amazing. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it. Yes.
So Debbie, as we alluded to, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about, those early, you're an educated individual. You had thoughts and knowledge around mental health as a therapist. And then what happened? Because
Wow.
there was, you had mentioned that you had been working with people who were going through burnout, and then you're like, oh wait, that's me.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that journey.
Oh boy. So before I was a therapist before I was a mother. So I had been doing it for a few years before I became a mother. And I was helping people identify their mental health, working through some of the strategies, helping them live life in a different way despite their mental health issues. And here's the thing that I had to recognize that I didn't realize was that I was one of them. So, yeah. So as a helper, I help. And that's what I do, right? I help you, and then I go home and I live my life. But what I realized was that I was going home and I was taking off my mask. I was taking off my mask, and it turned out that I was just like everybody else. But I couldn't tell you that. I couldn't show you that, because then I wouldn't really be able to help you, because I can't show you that I have my own mental health issues.
Right.
What kind of helper am I if I have mental health issues? So I take off my mask when I got home. When I left the house again the next day, I put back on that mask, and here I am. I'm your therapist. I'm your helper. I know it all. I can do it all. And everybody thought I had it all together. Little did they know. So, so then I am pregnant with my first child. This is about 10 years ago. Pregnant with my first child, and I have my kid, and it's great. A little bit of a traumatic birth experience, but I power through, and I'm gonna be this mother, this great mother. And I remember he was about 3 weeks old, and he was born in July, so I could take these walks in the summertime and get rid of this baby weight. And here I am with my baby, and it's so great. And I remember taking this walk one day just in tears, like, what am I doing? What have my life come to? What have this is crazy. Like, who am I? And I got to the stoplight because I was crossing to go to the mall, and I had to cross this major intersection. I got to the stoplight, pushed the button, and stood there waiting for the light to change so I could cross. And as I'm standing there, thought comes across my mind that says, what if I just let go of the stroller? What if I just let go? I take a step back, and then life changes. Life is different. Life is back to normal again. What if I did that? And it was a good maybe 10 seconds where I had this thought, looking at the cars, thinking about what my next action was. And then I started crying, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. I can't believe I just thought that. I can't believe I was going to actually do that. I turned around quickly and I went home. And from there became a series of events where I realized, wow, postpartum, wow, anxiety, wow, I'm depressed, wow, I'm just like everybody else. And I, just like everybody else, unbelievable. I don't have it all together. The thing I had to realize was I don't have to have it all together, right? I don't have to. And since then, I've had three more children. And every time I've had kids, I've had to deal with postpartum. Not as badly as the first, but I had to. I was talking with a therapist. I was receiving medication. I was receiving the support. I gave birth in May, my last child.
You've heard it here.
It's done. So I gave birth and I realized, okay, this has to stop. I can't go back and forth saying, okay, I'm going to have meds for a little bit and get better. Now I feel good. Now I don't need anything anymore. I got to stop. And I also have to realize that there are other people that are dealing with this. There are other people that are going through this and they're thinking they're going through it alone because I'm not speaking up. I'm not saying my truth. I'm not letting them know that I am just like them. So this gave birth to being this advocate. This gave birth to that stigma piece. You know, I had a family member say to another family member, you can't tell people that you have anxiety because you could lose your job. If they realize that you have a mental health issue, that really can put a target on your back. Don't tell people. Just deal with it. It's okay. Just deal with it. And that's when I decided, no, not happening. Not happening. I was a mess. I needed to get help. I got the help. And now I'm speaking out about it because if you need the help, you can get it. It's okay. Do it. Absolutely do it. So this is what I use my voice for. This is what I do my work for. I see people individually, but I also say, okay, let's spread the word. Is there more people that you know? You know, I do videos where, at first it was just a hobby, just to make videos because I like to see myself on camera. But I realized I get a message to share. So I turn my mess into a message. And that's just what I continue to do. That's what I love to do. I love to see people say, aha, that's me. It's you. It's me. Take that mask off. Let's get into this together.
It's so powerful and so important that women, I mean, I can appreciate, I call it like the helper fixer syndrome, like just
Yes.
constantly, my purpose in life is to help other people. And should anybody find out that I have a problem, then they'll stop asking for my help, which means I have no purpose in life. And so therefore it can't happen. Right. And so
Yes.
the fixers of the world have no one to help and fix them because we don't feel that we have that capacity because we've only been attracting people who need help.
That's right.
And so interesting dynamics in our relationships when we start to have these aha moments going, well, who do I get to talk to?
Exactly.
Right. And if you even give yourself permission to have that thought that you would like to talk to somebody, because then it's fleeting. It's like, well, I'm going to just talk to myself. I'll just figure it out. Like, I already know the answers. I'll just do it because, that's how it works. And I think the offering people the understanding and awareness that they are not alone, especially women, driven, busy, brilliant women who under the systems and social norms of today, we are
Yes.
truly made to believe that not only can we have it all, but we are to be it all.
Right.
And, here's the other women that you can look to who are all handling it beautifully. And so what the fuck's wrong with you that you can't, right? So not only is it important to share the message that you are not alone, but to
Yeah.
model the brilliant, beautiful, fabulous women who are doing great things and
Yes.
are sometimes a fucking hot mess. So
And
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just had somebody recently say to me, "Is like, whoa, what's going on with you? Got some mental health issues? You look like you have it all together. If I look like I have it all together, I'm not doing my job. I need you to know that I don't always have it together,
Yes.
and that's okay. So let's not have it together, right? Like
Right.
let's do it together and get the support and support one another. And that's the thing about women, right? Like we want to support each other. I just think that we don't necessarily do it in a productive way. So I just want to be able to reach out to women and just say, it's okay. Let's talk. You know,
Yep.
mothers who are struggling, women who are struggling, single, whatever it is that you're at, like we can do this together. Absolutely.
It's so important. And I my background, I originally went to school for science, biochemistry and molecular biology. Yeah, that was a thing. And I was in the sort of health world. I went and did some nutrition studies, and I remember thinking to myself, yeah, I don't want to work in the health industry. It's full of fucking women, and women suck, and being
Yes.
around them is exhausting, because I didn't
Yes.
understand, because what I was putting out into the world was this competition veil, this this constant, like, better than, I'm looking to see who's better than me so I can try to be me, whatever that is, right? And it was this struggle. And it took me years of self-reflection to get to this
Yes.
space where I'm like, oh, that's actually not what transpires. We all actually want to belong. We all want to feel
Yeah.
connected. We just
Yes.
don't have the tools in order to make that happen in social environments. And often I would put myself in places where I didn't fit in. And so that there's no sense of belonging there. And I would just fight to fit in. Of course, then that doesn't work. And then I feel like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And it's so important that we seek out communities of people who see us,
Yes.
hear us, and go, yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
And
what
because that belonging will then, it instantly, it sort of like eradicates that negative energy. And now the circles, and I host circles, but circles of women
Yeah.
come together is the most powerful thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like,
Why are we competing with each other? We
I don't,
don't need to do that. We
well,
all have something.
I have theories as to why women compete against each other. And of course, it's a system that's been
Mhm.
ingrained in us. And we believe that that's how women get ahead, is to
Yes.
step on other women,
Right.
because we actually
Right.
don't have permission to step on men,
Yes.
because we know our place and
Yes.
blah, blah, blah bullshit.
Yep.
And it's something we as a collective need to unlearn. And
Yes.
that will come through brilliant women like yourself who are willing to stand up and go, yeah, I call bullshit on that.
Yep.
And I'm over here being human and real and raw and
Yes.
and brilliant at the same time. And
Yes.
our vulnerability does not distract from our brilliance. If anything, it
Exactly.
enhances it.
That's right.
And I'm just so
Absolutely.
excited for this path that you're on.
Yes.
Oh, dear, I've got all
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, right? The inequality that we are all experiencing as women, and then we fight with each other and compete with each other when we're still making less than men, or we're still seen not as equal to men. Like, ladies, we got to come together. We got to
Yeah.
come together.
There's huge
Right?
power there. I mean, and like many mindsets that we hold, we seek out truths and evidence that validates what we believe. So if we believe that we're meant to compete with women in order to get ahead, then when we do that, we'll be like, see, That's
Yes.
there it is. It's the evidence to back up this
Right.
truth I made up in my head. Right.
Right.
And so the unlearning also requires that we take the time to seek out believers who believe what we want to believe,
Yeah.
and then gather the evidence of that truth. Right. So
Yes.
there's just as much, probably more evidence of the compassion and caring, successful women on the planet than there are of
Absolutely.
people who step on top of and hurt them. And I'm not talking about you want to be a driven woman and fire it up and go chase every gold star on the planet. I think that's amazing. It's
Right.
when we feel like we have to tear others down in order to rise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We don't have to beat each other up. We don't have to step on someone. We don't have to backstab. That's not what it is. We're going to cheer you on. We're going to cheer each other on. And that's what we got to do. We got to change that mindset.
Absolutely. And I think that as that narrative shifts, for the next generation, for us and for the next generation, I remember postpartum, not diagnosed with anything, but, reflecting back on significant anxiety. Reflecting back even further, it turns out I've probably been suffering from anxiety most of my life. Just, again, I'm a strong, independent woman, so nobody asked me about it. And,
Right.
and I wouldn't talk about it. So, blind rage, isn't that what everybody does? Apparently not.
Yeah.
I
thought so, but no, it's not.
So, postpartum, I was the everything for everybody woman, quintessential textbook. Like, I'm type A plus all the other things. And so I was like, everything, I do everything gets done. People look to me for advice. I'm only valid if people need me.
Right.
But the little person that needed me, and fucking understand her. And she was more than I could handle there's no control there, right? No control whatsoever in a small child.
Yes.
So, I cried probably more than she did. And I did eventually get some support, but it wasn't until I went back to work that I realized how much of the problem existed. And I remember after getting some help, and doing 6+ months of therapy and so on and so forth, I remember being like, how come nobody's fucking talking about this? How is it that I walked into this pregnancy and not one thing was out there about who I was and how I saw the world and how that was going to be a fucking problem?
Yep.
If I was going to hold on to this image of who I was, like I was so externalized, like my value and my worth was so outside of me. Yes. And to be honest, I don't know if someone had come up to me when, first pregnant and said, we're just going to talk to you a little bit about like you now. I don't know if I'd be ready, but I think these conversations need to start and just keep happening.
Right.
So my children, I want them to be helpers and I want them to be of service to the world and to make change and to big positive ripple effects on the planet. Yeah. I don't want them to feel like that's their purpose, that their purpose is to make other people happy, or that their value is determined by how much they do or their level of productivity.
Right.
So that when they have a child, they're like, it's okay to not do the things. And
that's the way I was raised, was that you're the helper, you do, this is what you do. And if people don't need you, there's something wrong. Like, you got to make sure people, and so I know you have daughters. I just had a daughter, and that's the stuff that I want to teach her. I want to be able to teach her. It's like, you can do things. You can have it all. It's great to be a helper, but you taking care of yourself too.
Right. And it's the analogy I shared with my girls, and I share with most of my clients. It's a bit of a like, oh, that's a new way to look at it. I'm not the originator of it, but that idea of, fill your cup first. It's not quite 100%. It's overfill your cup, because you get everything in the cup. Everybody gets everything else. Like, if it falls out of the cup, it's all yours. But if it's in my cup, you don't get it. That's mine. I need that and so you're constantly filling the cup so that it's flowing, and the flow is what creates the ripple effect. So if I'm focusing on my joy and what brings me happiness and fills my cup, and the ripple is, then you go, wow, I want to do that too. Not I need you to do it for me.
Right.
It's I want some of that. So they start to fill their cup with it, and then they start to right. And that's my
That's
visual of this positive impact,
100%.
which is what I
100%.
see. That's what I see what you're doing, right? You're not
Yep,
only filling cups, you're giving people the tools so that their cup overfloweth.
absolutely.
Oh, so
And
good.
then they're doing it themselves, and I
Yes.
don't have to be constantly their helper. I'm giving you those tools. I'm giving you the tools so that you can go out there and turn your mess into a message and teach other people, and then it just ripple effect, just like you said. And I always say to my kids, if mama's not happy, no one's gonna be happy. So let mama do her thing, let mama's cup overflow,
Yep.
and then yours will too.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So Debbie, I'm always intrigued by sort of the how the process, right? So I
Mhm.
recognize that the work that you're doing is extremely valuable and it's driving you, but more to the realness of it. What
Mhm.
strategies do you turn to help yourself keep that cup overflowing? What are some of the people or places or things that really do it for you?
I have my support system. And these are people that definitely are my safe place, the people that I trust, people that are not judgmental, but that get it and that understand that, yeah, I struggle. And yeah, I was not living my authentic life. I was not being myself. And they're the ones that call me on my BS and say, hey, I know you, and that's not you. And those are my people. Those are my people that I turn to, and I actually respect and say, "You're right. I'm not okay. Okay, I need that shift. I need those people." So even as a therapist, I am a therapist.
Right.
I go get and seek counseling. I seek that support. I sit there and I talk. I cry. I scream. I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm happy. I express all those emotions, and I have that person that can reflect that back to me and guide me and remind me, take care of yourself. Self care, even if it's a few minutes of reality TV. You give me permission to watch reality TV, I'm doing it. That's my self care. If I'm listening to Britney Spears all day, you're giving me permission to do that, I'm doing it. That's my self care. And I'm gonna be real about it, right? Like that's what really gets me going. That's what helps me. That's what I love doing. And I continue to learn more about mental health. I continue to learn more about what's out there, the resources to help people so that I can say, hey, how about this? Try this. This worked for me. I used it. And I need people to understand that I did it. So try it out. It might work for you. I'm practicing what I preach. I'm learning that I need to do that. So it's a self-care piece, it's a therapy, it's taking whatever time I need for myself, because that's how I'm a good mother. That's how I'm a good wife. That's how I'm a good sister, daughter. That's how I make sure that I am really living my life to the fullest.
I love you're like you gather the people, and
Yeah.
the term I've given that is your believing mirrors, right? The people who
Yeah.
believe in your greatness even when you don't, and will call you on it when you're not living up to your potential of greatness,
Yes.
right? And I've always been fascinated about, a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be my partner, it's going to be my mom. Yeah, maybe it's not. And
Right.
sometimes it's really not.
It's
Sometimes
not.
it's it could be like, there's been instances where it's people I've just met and gone, you know what, if I'm in a place and I call that person, they're going to feed me back what I need. Like I'm going to get there. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, it's someone you don't even know. Right. Like there's
Exactly.
inspirational gurus on the planet. They're brilliant minds, tap into them.
Yeah.
And, so there's always different ways in which you can pull in community, and
Right.
it can be your partner and your mother and all those people. But
Right.
I've always been intrigued by, what drives people, and, at that core level. And for so many women, we've just got into the habit of being driven by external validation and other people's expectations. So
Yeah.
that groundwork of what is it that I do want will determine who I talk to about that. Right.
That's
So
right.
if I want to be more joy in my life. And I want to strive towards living my life through these values, and this is my integrity and all those things, then you want your believing mirrors to believe that you can do that.
That's right.
And that, not everybody's ready for that, because everybody's going through their own shit. And sometimes what we are challenging ourselves to grow through, someone is still stuck in, and they may not be able to be open to your change because fear's still driving their bus. And that's okay. Right. So it's part of the work, I think, is going, and it's a little trial and error, right? To be like having a conversation. Am I getting the result that I want from this?
Right.
Am I feeling that I'm up leveling myself? Am I moving to that higher vibration, whatever you want to call it? Because if you're not, it's not that that's a bad person. It's just that maybe that's not the conversation to have with them.
Exactly. And you're so right about it. It might not be your mother. You might not be able to talk to your spouse. Like, I have a family member where mental health is just not a thing, really. So me reaching out to that person and understanding where I'm coming from, it's not going to happen.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
And to approach that from, I think about Brene, I always put my Brene hat on, but to approach that situation, that individual, with non-judgment, like, it's okay that you're not my person for this.
Yeah.
Right. Because you are still in my life. I don't have to cut you out. Now, there are people that we may choose to cut out, and boundaries are great and all those things, but it's really getting honest with what we need based on what it is that we actually want. I think women giving themselves permission to want is usually the biggest hurdle. Like, oh, I remember thinking that I'm allowed to want things.
I'm allowed to want. I'm allowed to want. Really?
Shouldn't I just be happy with what I have?
Right. Yes.
Right. Oh, shouldn't I just
blessed.
like, I'm all about the gratitude, and I'm about setting big badass goals. Right.
Absolutely.
Like, the two, I think, go hand in hand. Not I am good. We're good.
Yeah.
I don't think I want anything. I want for nothing. Okay. Like, I get it. You have food, you have shelter, you're solid, and go out and chase the dream, make the more money, and build the relationships and build the whatever, right? Like,
I say, you know what? Take that trip, buy those heels, do it. It's okay.
That's right. Throw on the Britney and just have at it.
Do it. You showed me your vision board before, and I thought, that's awesome. I need to do a vision board just like that. I had this idea of cutting out stuff, but you got the Post-it notes, and you can turn to it and be like, this is what I need to be doing next.
It's funny because nobody has seen, like, very few people have seen my behind the scenes. We'll call it like the manifestation.
I feel privileged.
Yes. So I'm a huge advocate of, more like traditional vision boards. I'm actually the vision board person, and I have like 5 containers of magazines. I do the things, right? I'm a huge advocate of creating the external program for the internal mindset, right? So that constant reinforcement of where it is that you're going, and the context and the meaning. So my manifestation little board is about specific creative thoughts, and like I want this, and like this very specific things, and then trusting that if I make it a visual, and I make it a Post-it, and then it's like, okay, it's there. I see it regularly. And again, I'm programming my mind to sort of go there. So one of my visions was that, and I took a hint from my friend Christine, that on Wednesdays we smash the patriarchy. So it's something that I wanted to incorporate more language of female empowerment into my family life, into my business life. And so she is a hashtag. It's not her hashtag, but it's a hashtag. Wednesdays we smash patriarchy. And I'm like, it's on my thing. And today I put a post out, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Wednesday. And this is one of those posts. And I'm like, here we go. So it's just the way, that you invite what it is that you want into your world by consistently bringing it into your field of view, attention, whether it's through sound or vision or whatever sense that it's coming in through. So this is
learning from other people, right? Like learning from other women, and just it's amazing. Amazing. Love
Awesome.
it. Good.
So Debbie, tell us what you're doing now. Like what's like you're doing the stuff, but what specifically, like how are you making this happen?
So I still am a psychotherapist. I still see clients individually. I see families. I see youth. I see couples. I'm still doing that and spreading the message, but also helping to support others. I do my videos on a regular basis where I call them the wellness minute, where I just have some tidbits of self-care or just things to really think about. So when it comes to anxiety or depression or finding out about your friends and keep taking care of family members, what comes along with that one in terms of mental health. And if you identify any of these things, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to reach out and get support. Let's erase the stigma. So I'm doing that as well. And I'm also hosting a TV show through Rogers TV. And it starts airing in January, where I have people from the community. I have guests on that are talking about the stigma of mental health, that are talking about mental health issues, and just really putting it out there. I have guests that come on and talk about their own mental health issues, if that's a thing, and really bringing awareness to the community that it's out there. It's happening. It could be happening to you. It could be happening to family members. It could be happening to anyone. And that's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's keep the conversation going. And let's not be afraid to talk about these things. So I'm really trying to get out all avenues to make sure that people understand that mental health is there. Mental health is real. Let's talk about it. No judgment. And let's help and support each other.
So I'm very excited because I think by the time people get a chance to listen to this, your TV show will be live. So there definitely will be a link for that here. What a gift to our community, because it turns out, even though when we first chatted, we didn't realize how close we actually are to each other in the same region. So I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
So thank you. And so before we go, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yes,
and I'm not surprised, because when I get with people that get me, like I'm going to talk about 20 different things simultaneously. So I've loved all of that.
I'm okay with that.
But what is something that you want to leave the guests with, that you want women to know before they go today?
Ooh, listen, we all have messes. We all might have been a mess. We all might be a mess, and that's okay. Turn that mess into a message. You are awesome. You are brilliant. You have so much strength, and you have women behind you cheering you on. And that's what I want to drive home to people. Don't be afraid to step out. Take that risk. Don't be afraid. Buy those heels. Take that trip. Do your thing. It's okay. And you're going to have thousands of women behind you just cheering you on. And I want to be one of those women. So please understand that. And please know that when it comes to mental health, it's very, very real. It's very much out there. But we can get through this together. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't feel like you're going to be judged. Really, that a stigma is there, but let's erase that stigma. And that starts with you talking about it. That starts with you realizing I got to take off this mask and be my true, authentic self, and be vulnerable, because we can all do that, and then just kind of embrace each other and say it's gonna be okay. You're not alone. You're not alone.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much, Debbie. And
Thank
so
you for what you do. Thank you.
It is my pleasure, and it just is the thing that I feel I want to be doing in the world. So thank you, and I'm glad that we met and that we're here, and that I got a chance to love up on you a little bit.
Thank you.
Oh, so good. So for everybody who is listening, if you would like to continue this conversation with us and the Hot Mess to Awesomeness podcast community, be sure to pop over to the awesomenessacademy.com and join up as a member. Inside there, you can join the podcast chat. So you can find all of the episodes there and you can join in on a discussion and connect directly with many of my guests, including Debbie. So thank you everybody for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Join Dion again next week to learn more about what you can do to go from hot mess to awesomeness.